Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're going to pick up a cheap Volvo V50 that I've just bought for £1,000. I haven't actually seen it yet, so I thought today we're going to have a look at it together. Sounds like a plan, doesn't it? I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with this yet, because based on the previous owner's description, it does need a bit of work, hence the low price. I know a few things about it. I know it's a 2010, it's a 2-litre diesel, and it's done around 107,000 miles. One good thing about it is that it's an R design, so it should look quite sporty. It shouldn't look as though I've borrowed my geography teacher's car. I think that's about the only positive thing to note right now. The previous owner said that it's due a service. It's got a water leak, which worries me a little bit. They're quite tricky to diagnose. And also the engine light comes on intermittently. I believe that he's been living abroad for the last few years, so he's only used this car every time he's come back to the UK. So the mileage over the last 2 or 3 years is quite low. When this was first offered to me, I did a bit of research, and it had a trade price of around £2,000 with a retail price of around £4,000. Now, based on his description and the fact that I'm buying this blind and taking a bit of a risk, I offered £1,000 because I thought then I can't really go wrong. And he accepted, and that's all I know at this point. So on the face of it, it does seem cheap enough to spend, I don't know, £1,000, £1,500 on it, preparing it, and then hopefully sell it for £3,995. We shall see. I don't want to count my chickens, you see, before they've hatched, because as I've demonstrated on numerous occasions, more occasions than I care to remember, it is quite easy to overspend. So much so, it's kind of become my catchphrase. I suppose there are worse catchphrases, aren't there? On lots of occasions, I have massively overspent. Then, of course, I'm left with a car which owes me too much money, and there's no real business there. Anyway, let's not dwell on the negatives. I shall see you there. I'll keep my fingers crossed. Well, we're here. I think my luck's turning, ladies and gents. It's a really good colour, wicked colour actually. The wheels look nice, it's got the roof bars, it's got the matching mirror caps. That looks really good actually. Nice wheels, Arch. What film's that off? Daddy, nice wheels. What can I tell you about it then? The wheels are a little scuffed actually, so I might get those refurbished. That is probably the best colour. It's got xenons, it's got headlamp wash, front fogs. LA14 is where the car came from. I mean, originally it's a VN10, so it's 2010. V isn't V like Evesham way, but it means, let me know in the comments below, I can't think. Well, the bodywork looks alright. It's usually missing its Volvo badge off the front grille. That's quite a common issue, but that looks very oh, I've just spotted an English heritage sticker. This is definitely had a cam belt change. I like that. I like that a lot. Right, as always then, I'm going to check this out using Car Vertical, just to make sure it's never been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. It's really easy to use. All you do is go to carvertical.com as soon as I can find Safari. Type in the vehicle reg, or the VIN. In this case, we know it to be, I may as well turn my engine off, hadn't I? This might shock you now, but this isn't the best car on fuel, isn't the most economical. Been averaging about 17 miles per gallon. Anyway, Victor November 10, Romeo Victor Yankee, check vehicle. By the way, if you want to do one of these checks for yourself, and I urge you to do so before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorcycle, then don't forget to use my promo code HIGHPEAK and you'll save yourself 10% off each and every check that you do. Right, what do we know about this one then? This will take a couple of minutes because it's currently checking dozens of countries' databases and it checks hundreds of millions of cars. So for example, if this Volvo's had a recorded accident in Valencia, it'll tell us. And just like that, the report is ready. So we've checked 72 million damage records, 436 million vehicles across 35 countries. View report. Right, it is a Volvo V50, it's a diesel, 2010. It's clear on the odometer checks, it's never had a mileage rollback, there's no outstanding finance, and there's no recorded damage. Perfect. Never been stolen. On its last MOT then, it had done 104,992 in April this year. So 4 months MOT remaining. And yeah, hasn't done many miles really over the last 5 or 6 years. That's the other good thing with this, it shows you the MOT history and the advisory items and fails. Average market price for such a vehicle is £3,500, with the highest price being 4,200 and the lowest being 2,700. So I think I'm safe at £1,000. It's a Volvo V50 estate, 2010, diesel, automatic. That's weird, you know, because when I was researching this car, I went onto my Auto Trader dealer portal system that we pay £60,000 a year for. 60, not 16. And I typed in the reg just to get a rough value, really. And it said that it was manual. And this is saying it's automatic. Weird. What would you rather it be? I guess auto. Auto's better news, isn't it? Having said that, I'm going to bore you with some nerdy facts now. The 2.4 and the 2.5s used an Ace-in-Warner gearbox that was quite reliable. The 2-litre diesels used a power shift made by Ford. And that was, as they say in Spain, no bueno. I hope it's not auto now. Right, we've had some fails here, some clean MOTs, a license plate change, ownership change. Okay, right. The ownership changed then in 2017. That makes sense. It failed in 17 because the engine light was on. I hate engine lights. They're the bane of my life. Right, well this is interesting. For the last 2 years, it's passed its MOT with no advisory items. Very good. Right, I think that's that then. Like I said, don't forget to use my promo code HIGHPEAK for 10% off. I do love this car. 17 MPG or not, it's a beast. What a miserable day it is. You can barely see the car there for the rain. First bit of good news is that we've got 2 keys. It's always a good sign. Right, looks like the dog see the rabbit. Well, it's filthy, but I think with a good clean, this colour should pop. I can see a Pirelli on the back. That's always a good sign. Someone's looked after it, regardless of cost. Those brake discs look a bit grim though. Lots of corrosion there and a bit of a lip. So I think they want replacing. So we're into rear brake discs and pads and some wheel refurbs, I think, but the tyres are good, so that's good. No rust, no scratches, although it is difficult to see in this weather. No privacy glass, which is good. We've got a black leather interior. This is what I was saying about the mirror caps, it just looks quite sporty. We've got an English heritage sticker there. Don't know what's gone on here. Someone's had a leak and they've tried to bodge it with some sellotape. Now we've got another Pirelli on the front on about 4mm of tread, that's pretty good. But again, the wheel's corroded and the brake disc has seen better days. Hope we've got a locking wheel nut as well. Hope we've got the locking wheel nut key. So we're into a couple £100 for wheel refurbs, a couple £100 for discs and pads. The headlamps look alright though, they don't need a buff. Yeah, LA14, is that the Lake District? Not sure. It's quite a good looking car there, that. Bonnet's not too chippy either. Right. On this side we've got another Pirelli Cintarauto on about 4mm. And yeah, same goes with the wheel and the brake disc. I'm not complaining though, because I've got this at the right price, I think. Now we've got keyless. Have we got a full house? We do. Full house of Pirellis on about 4mm, 4.5mm. That'll do. So with some new discs and pads, we're halfway there. There's what looks like, oh no, it looked like a scratch, but I think someone's just walked past it with a bag or something and just caught it, or it's driven past a hedge or something. But I don't think it's damaged the paintwork. That's good. Bit of moss here. It does need a very good clean, this. Over on the back we've got we haven't got a matching plate, which I don't like to see because that always indicates that, well, one's been replaced obviously, but why would one be replaced? Has it had an accident? An unrecorded one? Possibly on the front if it's nudged something. But then saying that, the paint looks original. I can't see any overspray anywhere, and it's not peeling. Maybe it's just sort of, I don't know. It could have fallen off, in fairness. It's just stuck on. Right. Key doesn't work. Neither does that one. Neither does that. Oh. So, right, straight away, the smell of mildew has just struck me. That is the smell of a water leak, that. Lovely. It smells like an old shower. Oh, that stinks. We've got some Arabic water. Hope I'm not offended anyone, I think that's Arabic. Masafi Mountain Wells, I don't know where that is. Not local, I don't think. In the back we've got Struts still work, that's good. It's blowing a gale. Right, we've got some aloe vera juice. Aloe vera! And a tumbler, which is a bit odd. Parcel shelf. What other goodies have we got in here? Water resistant car cover top. Hasn't worked, has it? And then the bag. We've got some spare mats. Tiny mat there. Quite nice actually, they match the paintwork. Well, the boot carpet feels dry. I mean, it's cold, but then it is winter. There's no water here. We've got a treasure trove of bits and pieces here, haven't we? Look at this. Got a receipt from Waitrose. What have they been buying? Some chocolate and broccoli. Very nice. Hexham. That's where my red TT came from. Oh, that's not an indication. We've got some... They're spacers for tiles, aren't they? 4mm spacers. Got some slippers here that someone's pinched from a Sheraton. A wheel. What a weird bunch of things. Some Christmas cards. Wallace and Gromit. Some fixings. The Times. Right. You can just see the start of mould here. I need to get this and act fast, really. Figure out where this water leak is. I think it's fairly obvious. I think there's a mat there, and the mat from here is in the boot, which tells me, you're watching this, that is absolutely sodden. So we've got a water leak and some mould there. I mean, perhaps it's coming through this door sill, but the door sill looks like it's in decent condition. That doesn't make any sense, does it? What about the actual seal around the door, not the frame? I mean, it looks alright, that. Where else could it be leaking water from? There's no sunroof. Oh, weird. If you remember, I bought one of these a few years ago, an abandoned one, like a maroony colour, and that had a water leak as well, and everything was mouldy. It's horrendous. A little bit of wear there on the seat bolster, but nothing that I'd even bother doing. We've got memory seats, electric seats, quite a good spec this. Some gross tissues there. Lovely. It's very dirty, but it would clean. Oh, it is auto. I've just seen the two pedals. Very observant, aren't I? Oh. We've got some coins. A couple of zippers. 1975. What have we in here then? We've got some little envelopes. A key battery. Could do with that actually. An old style pound coin. Look, oh no, it's a new style. Result. Someone's every parcel there. Right, and then down here we've got some Ziploc bags with some football stickers in. Panini. It's freezing. This is weird, I've never seen that before. So normally you put the key in there, but it's just, I guess that's part of its keyless system, isn't it? Fill washer fluid. Could fill that from the back carpets, couldn't I? We've done 107. I mean, it sounds all right. Very low on fuel. My wipers aren't smeary, they're all good. It is quite a good spec, this. We've got the winter pack with heated seats. We've got the compass built into the rearview mirror. Ah, right. Electric windows, mirrors. They're good cars, these, aren't they? I like the chunky steering wheel. Let's see if we've got any other warning messages. Service overdue. Okay. Engine system, that's what worries me. Engine system service required. Bulb failure, multiple bulbs, and washer fluid. It's that engine system service required that worries me, because that doesn't mean it needs a service, that means something's gone wrong. I think that's the history in there. Have you ever seen so many baby wipes? So the previous owner's either got a baby or IBS. I hope it's the baby. Or they're a clean freak. But then that hasn't really translated to the car, has it? Because the car's a bit dirty. And it stinks. Someone's put some diesel in Penrith, Cumbria. Bit of trim there off something. Well, this is all alright, isn't it, really? What have I been listening to? Bit of T-Swift. Radio 2, as you'd expect. The sound system in these Volvos are very good as well, if they have that high performance audio thing. And there is, I think, an auxiliary point somewhere behind this little centre console. Is there a CD inside? We've got more cleanliness stuff here, some hand sanitising gel. How odd. Right, service history then. What do we think? I'm thinking, because it's got that sticker in the top right corner, or top left corner, depending where you stood, I'm thinking this has been looked after quite well. Got the logbook there, so I better turn this around so you don't see anybody's names or addresses. Service book, here we go, right. Now we're talking. Nose is running here. Right, well, we've got some history here. First done in Gloucestershire. So it's come from Gloucester, this car. It might have belonged to Dr. Foster. Johnson Cars Volvo. Direct Cars, Eckington Way, Sheffield. Basic maintenance service, 63. I'm looking now for a cam belt, because this will be due at 10 years, I imagine. Hippo, they sold it and replaced the back plate. Dalton in Furness, that's where I went doing the off-road day with that Jeep that I bought for 500 quid. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, check it out. London Road, Kingsworthy, Winchester. And then it's travelled around, this car, hasn't it? Last one done in October last year in Cumbria. Right, so it is due a service, but only time-wise, not mileage-wise. But there's no record of a belt. I'll have to get that done, I suppose. I think first, though, I need to figure out where this water leak's coming from. Try and solve that issue. I don't like being sat here breathing in all this mildew. We've got a load of receipts here as well, which I won't bore you to death with, going through every single one while we're filming, but I'll read those later and see if there's a receipt there for a cam belt and water pump. So basically then, it has been looked after, this car, I think, to a point. To a point, anyway. Let's have a look under the bonnet then, shall we? Knock off the old engine. I know it starts now, at least. The OBD cover's missing, which I don't like. That's dripping water there. That's weird, isn't it? We've got two mats here. The carpet's not damp there, though. That's weird. What I'm thinking then, if that's dripping water, or it's definitely water there, it could be leaking through the windscreen. But then surely, how's the water got back there? It's the rear footwell. Let my mechanic look at this, I think. Where's the bonnet release on one of these bad boys? There might be a sticker under here to say that it's had a cam belt done. If I could figure out how you get in the bonnet with these things. It's missing its trim there. There should be a piece of plastic trim, I imagine. Covers all that. There it is. This has been parked under a tree. Look at all this. Well, what can we see then? What can we see? Got the old 4-cylinder engine. Got a Varta battery. There's no rust on the top mounts there. What I can see of the chassis legs look like they haven't had an impact. Do you think they've been off at some point? A little bit of paint sort of peeling there. And I think that's fairly standard, isn't it? Fairly standard on VW group cars especially. Right. No mayo, it's always good. How black's this oil? Black, but then it is a diesel. It is a diesel, to be fair. Right, well, a good clean and service, and we should be there, and maybe a cam belt, because there is no sticker. Could actually speak to the previous owner, couldn't I, and see if he's had one done. Anyway, should take this for a drive then, see how it performs. Right then, not going to go too far in this because it stinks. Last thing I want to do is get ill with it. I think this is the power shift box as well, and I don't think you can service them. I always preach servicing the gearbox, but I don't think you can on a power shift. They just break. When they break, you've got to replace them. There's no sort of preventative solution. You can hear water sloshing around then. I just wanted to check that because, can you hear that? Of course, it could be my Persian water in the boot, but I think it's got a lot of water in it, this. Best buckle up, hadn't I? I mean, when they're working these power shift gearboxes, they're a dual clutch box, a bit like a DSG, so the changes are instant. So when they're working, they're fine. It's just, they spend a lot of the time not working. That's the problem. So far, I think I'm in third gear, and it hasn't given me whiplash, so we might be all right. Look at the Honda Goldwing. I know you can't see that, sorry. I always forget that, don't I? Yeah, you can hear the water sloshing around. It's changing all right though. We've got as well, can you hear that? There's like we've got a wheel bearing hum, I think. It could be tyre noise, but I don't think it is because they're decent tyres. I would say that's a wheel bearing. Or a bit of diff noise or something. Let's pray it's a wheel bearing. It's a 50 or 80 quid job and not a diff rebuild at 500. Windows. Yeah, they're all good. What else can I tell you? I mean, it's quite smooth, really. I mean, it's a nearly 14-year-old car, this. It might have had a gearbox rebuild. She picks her feet up. Yeah, I would say that's wheel bearing from one of the fronts, or both the fronts. It's not the worst one I've ever heard, but it is on its way out. I'll get my mechanic to look at that. I think what I might do first, I know I'm doing this in the wrong order, but I might take this for a proper valet, get them to dry the carpets and everything, and then start afresh, see where it's come from. Because, of course, if the water's come from the front or the back, and then it's been parked on a hill, we won't exactly know where it's come from. It could be a bit misleading. I think that's what I'm going to do. Give it a good clean first, get rid of all the baby wipes, and then take it to my mechanics. Get them to do some tests on it and see where the water leak is coming from and fix it. It might need a new windscreen or something perhaps, because the door seal looked okay. I hate water leaks. They're really difficult to diagnose. I also need to figure out why my keys aren't working. The fact that somebody's got a battery here tells me someone's tried the easy option first. In fact, you know what I might do with this car? Straight away, I know I'm going to get a big bill. Just take it to the Volvo specialist I use. They're called Trevor Burgess up in Mottram, and they're really good. They're a bit more expensive, but I think it might save me a lot of time. Just get them to deal with it. Fix the key issue, fix the wheel bearing, and sort out the water leak. I know I always preach this in videos, but you are best just going to a specialist, because I'm not knocking my own mechanic, by the way, but they deal with every kind of car, and you can't be an expert in every single kind of car. Whereas if you take it to a specialist, that's all they know, it's all they work on. This is a little flying machine, actually. What will this be, 160 horsepower or something? That wheel bearing, when you get up to 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour, 45, is a bit more pronounced. I think that is a wheel bearing. We knock it to neutral, and the noise is still there, so it's not the gearbox. There we go. I tell you what, I'm good at my job, aren't I? Right, leave this with me. Let me catch up with you in a few weeks' time. I could ask Trevor Burgess as well if they can service the gearbox. I don't think they can, but We could ask, couldn't we? There's no harm in asking. First though, I'm going to go and get some diesel in it because they're going to have this running for 2 hours. And I don't want it to run out. You should never run a diesel completely empty on fuel. Right, I'll see you in a... I hope when I don't pick up the second part of this video, I hope you don't see the leaves full of trees and birds chirping and daffodils popping out the ground. I hope it's like 10 days time, not 10 weeks time. Wish me luck. This gearbox is actually alright. And we're back in the cheap Volvo. And look how clean it is. It's come up really well. Unfortunately though, that's where the good news ends. After we last spoke, I took this car down to the local car wash and asked them to just do whatever they wanted to it. It was very dirty, the carpets were as wet as a bedwetter's mattress, it just needed some attention desperately. Anyway, a couple of days later I got a call from the guy at the car wash to say, Matt, the heater isn't working, we can't dry it. It's absolutely sodden and we can't dry it. So I thought, right, as I'm a pragmatic problem solver, I'll go to work where I know I've got a little plug-in electric heater. That's there from the days when I used to sit in the middle of nowhere in a porter cabin, trying to not get frostbitten in the winter.
Oh God, you wouldn't belong getting frostbite.
So I knew I had that and I hadn't used it. So I went to work, picked that up, dropped it off with them and just asked them to plug it in. In fact, that reminds me, I need to go and collect it. Can't have them half-inching my little electric heater, can I? After that then I picked it up and I was quite impressed with it. I mean, it looks really good, so I thought, this has got a bit of life left into this car. So I took it to my mechanics and asked them to just check it over generally before I spent a penny on it. And that's when I started to get cold feet with the whole thing. And it wasn't just the fault of the faulty heater. Very punny. Here's what they found wrong with it then. The windscreen's letting water in. I kind of knew that. There's some sort of bathroom sealer around the top. Someone stuck a plastic sticker over the bottom part, so I kind of knew that that was the area that was letting the water in. And that's the case. The faulty heater motor, which I was kind of hoping was just going to be a fuse, wasn't. Turns out it needs a new blower motor. They're quite difficult to get hold of. From Volvo, they're very expensive. I had a look on eBay and they're about £180. But I could only find them in Lithuania and Poland and places. And apparently, it won't do on a right-hand drive car. I don't know why that's the case, but apparently that is the case. My mechanic also told me that that near side headlamp isn't the original one. It should have a halogen unit like this, but that one has been replaced at some point and it doesn't work. So that would have meant ordering one of those as well. What else was wrong with it? The engine light's on, that came up with a faulty O2 sensor, so they cleared it and it's come back on again. There's a slight oil leak with it, but nothing major in fairness. I asked them to check the wheel bearings because, as you can probably hear, there's a bit of a hum when you go at sort of 40 miles an hour. They checked the wheel bearings and they weren't faulty, so I'm guessing it could be tyre noise or maybe just a bit of drivetrain noise. And the key fobs don't work. Now, I didn't look into that. It could have just been a £1 CR2032, but I didn't bother looking. At that point, I thought, I can't start this new year with a massive overspend. So, I'm going to put my sensible hat on and try and sell it as it is. I'm thinking, I mean, I've spent £70 or £80 on a valet, and that's about it. So I'm thinking if I advertise this at £12.50, the phone will ring off the hook. I'm just going to do a blunt advert explaining everything that I know about it, and just try and get my money back. I know you might think I've kind of wussed out with this and I should have spent the money on it because it's quite a nice car really, but I just, as my mechanic was rattling off all the issues, I thought, well, that's £200, that's £300, that's £300, that's £200, plus labour, plus everything else. And then I thought, when I sell it for £3 or £4, 2 months later, I'm going to get a call to say the turbo's blown or the gearbox is gone, and then my profit's gone out the window. So I just thought, I can't be bothered. I think that's about it then, guys. I've just taken some photographs of it outside my garage, which is desperately in need of a lick of paint. And I'm pretty sure if I advertise this at £12.50 or something, it'll sell straight away. And then I can reinvest the money into something else. And I hope that next week I'm a little bit cheerier. I'm normally a glass half full kind of person, but this week's just sort of taking its toll, and I just couldn't be bothered dealing with this old Ovlov. On that note then, I wish you all a good weekend, and I'll see you next time, hopefully where I'll have something a little bit nicer for you. In fact, I've got some quite interesting cars due this weekend, so I have to try and turn this frown upside down, won't I? Cheers guys, see you next time.